Very good. Well, thanks everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us for this group discussion today. Hopefully we'll have a good agenda and great discussion. I want you all to just take a moment and recognize that I need you to participate fully to make this a meaningful call. It's more about you than it is anything that I have to say. So the more you jump in and share, the better off we will all be. All right, so let's get started as we always do with any wins or any challenges or objections or problems or issues or opportunities that you have going on in your business that you would like to share with the group or get some help with or have a discussion about.
Well, mine's not so much a win as it is just a following up on the RFA from last week. I did get a chance to chat with the prospect and get on the calendar, so I didn't get the feel that they were trying to play games or anything. So that was helpful, and get back on track with that.
Yep, very good. I would definitely call that a win. So I think that's great. Thanks for sharing, Mike. Anybody else?
I've had a little bit of a challenge. I had a really good RFA this week with prospect. It was the whole process was really pretty interesting, and the guy's interesting. He's interested, and of course, like everyone else, time is an issue. But what's really more of an issue with him is a lot of the times that the boards meet or could meet, that's when he's doing the bulk of his work. He does laser work, and that's when he sees his clients. So he's looking at it as he's giving up revenue, which he needs right now, to join a board. So I got him to come to an event. He hasn't signed up yet, and we've talked about coaching only, but just wondering how anyone else has kind of overcome that particular time challenge.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Steve, and I know that others have been challenged with the same thing. So what have you all done to overcome the issue where board time conflicts with key time frame that the member needs to use for other activities?
Move the board.
I'm sorry?
I would move the time of the board. It's not carved in stone, right?
Yeah, I kind of talked to him about that right now, and I'm actually in the process of moving because there's been a lot of shift. But most of what works for other people, which would be a Tuesday or Thursday morning, doesn't work for him, and even the afternoons on Tuesday and Thursdays are a little dicey. So it really logistically, in the days he's not, he manages 5 other stores, so he's doing a lot of running around. So what would work best for him is like after hours or really early, and I know that's not going to work for my other members. So I'm really looking more at how do I really solidify that value proposition to him to where he sees it worthwhile in him doing the rescheduling, trying to accommodate him as best as possible, but where he does the rescheduling. And that's one of the reasons why I talked to him about starting with coaching only, because the times are more flexible.
Yeah, I think the last part is definitely the where your ability to have an impact is starting with the coaching only, because some of the stuff you just threw out just sounded like, well, wait a minute, why is he managing 5 stores? What would it take for him to not be the one that has to run to all 5 stores? Blah 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 blah. Because that to me is a symptom, not a problem. There's probably
Bingo.
Additional things that he's working on that he shouldn't be, but could possibly not be doing. From coaching,
yeah, bingo. I mean,
helping pointing those things out.
Yeah, and that's what I did in the RFA was like, if you're running this roughshod, trying to keep your fingers on all the things, you need some help.
So I have a funeral home director. Sorry, everyone, I came a bit late. It's Deb Thompson. I have a funeral home director, and they are crazy about how they cannot manage their time in terms of really difficult. And I brought this up to Jackie Gurney, and I said, how am I going to do this? Because every time I turn around, when he comes to a board, he loves it and he gets loads of value out of it. But he's having to skip a bunch, and then I feel like the value proposition of the board is lost. And she said, let the pressure off the situation and say, okay, let's just plan that you're not going to make it to a few of the boards. Let's generalize. You're not going to make it to 2-3 of the boards in a year. But for the rest of them, you're really going to try to make it. And because you are seeing a lot of value in it. And kind of look at that and add in coaching or subtract an amount of money based on, and so he then doesn't have the pressure of, I've got to come every month and it's going to be, so as soon as you take the pressure off it, somehow it brings them around to a more realistic perspective, and they actually make it to the board more often. It happened with my guy. He all of a sudden could find the time.
Really? So
yeah.
It's almost like reverse psychology, but it with him, it actually worked.
Yeah, it was like, okay, so we're going to plan that you're not going to make every single one. We're going to plan it. And that's just fine. During that month, we're going to give you a little bit of an extra coaching session. But it let him off the hook so much in his own mind that he started to actually make it to the meetings.
Nice.
Excellent.
Sometimes we can get really strong about, you must come to the board and you must do coaching and, otherwise you won't see the huge amount of value and all that kind of stuff. And really just nod your head to the fact that the guy is really busy.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
Excellent. I think some great feedback from both Mike and Deb. I think Mike's point about, and you talked about this, Steve, that maybe some time management and just some leadership opportunity to help him remove some of the day-to-day tactical stuff from his plate. And then also, as Deb highlighted, taking the pressure off, acknowledging the scheduling challenges, and just being flexible with how you're going to bring that value if he's not able to make boards. Great. Good discussion. Any other wins or challenges that anybody would like to share?
I did sign up a member from my workshops, so that was a good outcome of the workshops. I did get one member out of it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this is Ben.
What kind of workshop?
The timeless principles. I did two workshops from that.
Nice.
What were you going to say, Bernd?
Yeah, a little win, but with potential, I guess. I just came back from a meeting with a guy who I was considering partnering with on an event, and he seems to be really interested. He's full in. He was actually sounded like he was really impressed about the concept I presented to him. I'm thinking about a strategic planning workshop, in fact, where the attendees actually need to register and pay for it. I found when I had a business owner roundtable last year for free, there wasn't a lot of commitment with those who signed up. So I want to give this a try, and he is actually he calls himself an outsourced or fractional sales VP. So he brings to the table all the sales and management experience, And in a strategic workshop, I guess we can complement each other very well. The discussion, while he agrees on everything, essentially one point which we still need to clarify, and I got to agree with him to a degree, is that we're not going to be able, probably not going to be able to get those attendees for an entire day, although getting through a strategic planning workshop based on our SBL process/blueprint. I would think it actually does take an entire day if we want them at the end of the day to go home with some tangible outcomes. He sees concerns in there, and I kind of reluctantly have to agree that getting the attention of a small business owner for, let's say, 7 or 8 hours and take an entire day out of their typical work week is probably a stretch. So the win is he's really interested, and we're going to talk to somebody else who could complement that as well. So it's going to be 3 of us, I guess. We just need to work on the format a little bit, have it on a shorter time frame, maybe have 2, something like that. But the planning, at least I've got 2 people lined up who are willing to work with me, and we now need to go a little bit into the details of that planning.
So I heard a couple of things in all of that, Bernd. One, it sounds like you've got a great strategic partner to help you. The idea of going to a longer workshop, you know, I don't think that's impossible, but I do think it does, as you highlighted, present some challenges. So I'd be interested to hear from others about their input or their suggestions for how you might be able to market this to make it a very successful event.
Yeah, if I might add, one of the third guy we are talking about, he is actually he has a small company, a small company for digital web marketing and web design, these sort of things. So as an added benefit would be that at least we have somebody in our group who can do all the marketing on, at least on the digital side there. I'm not sure if we need any printed digital marketing material or something like that, but that would certainly be a big help there.
Sure. And would all 3 of you be trying to bring or find attendees, or is there anybody primarily responsible for the attendee list?
I think I will put that burden on all 3 of us, obviously, but also on. I think we are hopeful that we might have lined up at least 1, if not 2, sponsors for the event. We haven't really honed in on a venue yet. I have developed over the last couple of months a pretty good relationship to one of the local banks, who actually focus on small to medium-sized businesses. So it's not like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, but it's rather it's not only in this region, but Fulton Bank, they are kind of focusing on small to medium-sized businesses. So if they are willing to provide a venue, and the other sponsor is willing to let's say provide the food, then we have something, and then in combination, everybody reaches out to their network and promotes the event. You know, I would be cautiously optimistic that we're going to be able, let's say, getting a minimum of 30, perhaps even 40 people together. And because this is supposed to be a workshop, we already discussed what sort of setup do we want to have in the room and these sort of things. So, you know, putting groups together so they can work in 6 to 8 group-sized people. So these sort of things. So as I said, I'm cautiously optimistic in that respect.
Very good. Any other comments or feedback for Bernd or anybody else that has shared their challenges?
Is it going to be set up like a discussion, or are you going to give presentations, that type of thing? What does the format look like?
It's going to be a combination. You got to have some sort of didactic element which actually tells them about the concept and what they are supposed to do. But the idea really here is, again, coming back to the workshop theme, is to have them really working on their SBL elements, starting with a vision. I mean, we have a nice worksheet where you, without a computer, actually can work on your personal and on your business vision. Yeah. And you can do the same with a SWOT analysis. You can do this. I mean, Champagne Moment is pretty simple. The strategic plan per se, once we start talking about goals, strategies, action plans, and tactics, you can do that on paper rather than on a computer, right? So that's what we envision having them doing. So it is not being marketed as an or promoted as a marketing event where we stand in front of people and saying, look, this is what we're doing. I'm doing TAB, and the two other guys. One is called, he's representing Sales Accelerator, and the other guy has the digital marketing agency Spin Modern. No, that's not what we're doing. We're guiding them through a process where they need to work, get some tangible outcome out of this, as long as they are able and willing to work on these things, obviously, and go home at the end of the day and say, I got something out of this. Yeah, we might have each one of us might have a table on the walls where we have a TAB banner and some TAB material laying out, so they can pick these things up. But it will be very subdued, salesy, and more on the outcome oriented, process oriented, these sort of things, so they get home with something educational end of this. Obviously, you got to leave.
That approach.
I'm sorry.
I think that's a really good. I like that approach as well. I think that's right. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And we're planning one quite similar. Somebody asked me a question though, so I'll ask you the same question because it got me thinking. I mean, same deal where we don't want it to be a big sales approach. We don't want that pressure. We want the people to walk away with a lot of value. But he said to me, so what action are you going to be ready and capable of taking the day after you have that seminar? So that got me thinking, and maybe it will you as well. But it's a kind of a wake up call to. Would the question be directed to you as the facilitator or to us as facilitators, or would that be directed towards the attendees? No. Well, it could be both, but to you, because you really are doing this for new members, aren't you? I mean, eventually, yeah. Underneath the surface, it is kind of telling them a little bit what we're doing at TAB, obviously showing our expertise in what we are doing, and leaving the door open, because there's so much more to be done. Obviously, besides the fact that within 7 hours you're not going to be able to design a full-blown strategic plan, but that's the purpose of all of it. So raising awareness that they see the need. Oh, I need to become more active. I need to become better at this. And by becoming a TAB member, I can actually do this. So instead of this being a project that means finite, 4 hours, 7 hours, I'm going to make this permanent. And I'm going to do this gradually, permanently, slowly, once a month, but I'm doing it. So yeah, I mean, it's underneath. It is promotion, no doubt, but it wouldn't be sad and obvious on the surface. Yeah, but I thought it was a good question that this person asked, though, because it kind of brings to your mind quite clearly, okay, that is what I want to have happen here, and I might actually have to have a plan for the day after. What is it I'm going to do? Make a phone call, send an email, exactly what kind of program in order to convert. I know it's tough, and I know that's not what your remit is, because I'm completely bought into the place where you're at, but we have to be a bit tougher when it comes to that actual close of the sale. I do, I should say. I don't know. You're probably much better than I am at this. But I love people to walk out of rooms feeling really good about a program. but I often don't think, okay, how am I going to close them?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, it is just from a conceptual point of view. It is not different what we're doing at LinkedIn or what we're doing at Facebook, for example, or what Tab is doing is the content marketing, providing a lot of helpful content, and that's there just for free. As long as you read the posts or go online and download the white paper, you get a lot of information. You got a lot of value right there. But why are we doing it? Obviously, it's brand marketing, to bring the Tab name out there, and so that people are going to be able to identify Tab with whatever our value proposition is. And when they see the benefit and when they see the need to do something, they remember Tab is out there and Tab might be able to help me.
Yep, I think that's the approach.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you. That was a great discussion. Just to circle back, Mike, make sure you go add a new member with following this RFA. Best of luck. We're all pulling for you. Steve, we know that you're going to be successful in solving the problem for this prospect to get him into coaching only and eventually into your boards. Valerie, we kind of glossed over it, but congratulations on adding your new member. That is a great success, and I think definitely validates the work that you did on your workshops. And Bernd, best of luck. Keep us posted on this event and how it all plays out. I think we're all interested to see how successful this is for you. All right, I'm gonna ask us to continue our conversation. So over the last month or so, we've been talking about the 4 disciplines of engagement. Those are, of course, to be a great coach, to facilitate high-performing boards, to maximize the value of available tools, and to become your member's trusted advisor. And we've spent a week talking about each one of those in a little more detail. And so, excuse me. Sorry about that. What I'd like to do today is just kind of open it up for another 10 or 15 minutes at the most to just talk about any aspect of one of these 4 disciplines or just member retention as a whole. What have you done with your members that you feel really helps you from a retention standpoint, or what challenges might you be facing with member retention in your Tab business? So keeping these 4 disciplines in mind, let's just talk a little bit about what's going on with your own member retention and learn from each other and maybe address some challenges that we're having. So what's working with member retention for each of you?
What's working for me, Mike here, is that I continue to stay engaged. We talked about this last week, I believe. No, I know we talked about this last week, and when they say they need some support in some area that's not a normal thing that you've done, then making yourself available to do it. Yesterday with my main client, there was a textile conference in LA, and it sounds just as exciting as I delivered it. And I absolutely did not want to go. However, she asked for me to go, and I'm not sure about I'm sure it has traffic, but I mean there's traffic, and then there's LA traffic and New York traffic. I mean, this was that type of traffic to get down into the middle of LA at 10 o'clock in the morning. But I did it. And but the funny thing is that, well, not funny, but one of the things is that by the time I finally got there, after making the ETA, when I got there, the first thing out of her mouth was, "I so appreciate you making this effort to come down and do this. I just wanted you to know how much I appreciate it." That was it. I was done. I mean, to me, that made it all worth the 1,000 people that I got to be close to on the drive down there. and it was maybe a 45 minutes to an hour of walking around for a product line she wants to bring out. But that was worth it. That made me go, okay, that's why I did that. So, I mean, we talked about it last week about doing a little bit extra or being responsive to a need that they have, and that this to me was an example of that. And it was really boring.
You know, I actually have a story that goes along with that.
You've been to the LA Textile Conference too? Oh my God, no.
No, mine is actually a lot more fun. I actually still have a couple of clients outside of TAB, and one of them is starting a new business, but is also a comedian, a stand-up comic. And so I help her, believe it or not, with both the business and with her comedy. And she was recently selected as one of to an elite group they call the Denver Divas, which is a group of female stand-up comedians. And so she's got a show next Thursday. Next Wednesday. Her first show as part of this Denver Divas group, and she mentioned it to me, and I told her I would be there. And the response that I got was beyond appreciative, to the point where she said, you're probably going to feel like I'm telling you all of the jokes, because when I'm up on stage, I look for people that calm me and give me confidence, and you're one of those in my life. So thank you for being there, and I can't tell you how much it means to me. So just going that little bit above and beyond, I do think we far underestimate the value that brings to our members. And I'm going to have a lot more fun at the comedy show than you did at the textile show.
Guaranteed.
Any other member retention strategies, successes, or challenges?
I've got a
nominated.
Go
ahead, Bella.
Sorry, just real quick. I nominated, and one of my members won one of those business awards that the local business paper puts out. This was Women Who Mean Business, and so she was kind of stoked to get that, get some attention, and they write it up, and there's a ceremony and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's excellent. That's a great idea. I've not heard that before, but I think, where we can support and encourage our members, I think that's awesome. Steve, what did you have?
I've got a member who I've been doing some good work with that is facing a challenge, and his partners are kind of pulling the cord in, and they don't quite have the same idea of value that TAB offers. So they're balking at paying. They're cutting all expenses right now. They've just lost one of their biggest clients. I'm looking at that as an opportunity to possibly take a bit of an economic hit, but solidify that long-term relationship in my place as a trusted advisor. I'm working with him to not just get him re-engaged, but making an offer contingent on getting more access to the partners and getting their commitments. So potentially I could bring 3 other people to the table and just really solidify that relationship. Otherwise, I'm going to really lose him as a paying client.
So, Steve, how are you planning on engaging with the other 3 partners? What's your plan for that?
Well, I had already started by putting out there that we were all going to do the business diagnostic and then do a debrief. I had offered to do DISC, and that really didn't go far. I got some buy-in on the diagnostic, but only one of the other 3 partners completed it. I'm really going to make my offer contingent on them doing it and us having a debrief, if nothing else. And I'm continually going back to them and saying, look, we're in this together. When we signed up, I promised that I would be with you through this. So this isn't a deal breaker. This is a setback, and we'll get through it together.
Good. Does anybody have any feedback or thoughts about what Steve's facing? I'm sure you've all had that situation where a member has partners and the partners don't necessarily see the full value, mainly because they're not as engaged as the member. How have you handled that situation?
Steve, have you?
I'm sorry?
Have you met the other partners?
I met one briefly, and the other we probably chatted for about a half hour.
It's going to be difficult to have them feel any value if they're getting it by third party, have a jaundiced view. Having a meet with all of them might be helpful if you're trying to get them all to be excited about the value proposition. I think it's going to be difficult to get all four of them to say yes if only two of them know who you are and the other two don't know, nor do they care.
I agree, and that's why I've requested a meeting with my member and the other partners. He's a 50% member. The issues really were his, but at this point, I see the need to get the others engaged and fully engaged, and I know it's not going to happen through proxy. It's got to happen one-on-one or one in group.
Any other thoughts from anyone else about strategies Steve might consider as he works to get the other partners to see value?
The one partnership I have as an example, I would echo exactly what you just heard, that really to get close to that other partner is very important somehow, some way, in order to hold on to it, because otherwise the dynamic just doesn't, you're not able to control it as far as I can see.
I agree, and one of the other things I've thought in getting to that meeting with them, or if I get an initial meeting with all of them, is I've already ran out a comparative diagnostic in that same SIC code for the U.S. and having that report and being able to give it to them to say, okay, here's one of the reasons why we do this diagnostic. Here's what other people are experiencing. And the partner, the partner who already did it, he's more of a work-at-home partner. So I've got him in my corner, but it's a very silent corner. He couldn't say enough about the diagnostic. He thought it was the cat's meow. So I'm trying to capitalize on that as well.
Well, it sounds like you've got a good approach, Steve. Just you have to have some dogged determination to make sure that you find a way to get into the other partners and begin building relationships there. And I think using the diagnostic is a great approach.
Thank you.
Any other comments? We've got just a couple more minutes to spend on this. Around member retention, strategies that have worked for you, things that you've done that have helped with your retention from your perspective, or maybe some of the best learning opportunities come from mistakes, things that you might have done that harmed your retention that you've learned from. Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap that discussion up. Thanks very much for the feedback and the thoughts. Member retention, of course, is one of the key strategies to membership acquisition overall. And so once we get members, the easiest revenue that we can have is through retention. So we want to make sure we're consistently providing value to our members and that we're in tune with where our members are at in their business and in their feelings toward their membership with TAB and their relationship with you. So continue to focus on retention. We will continue to have that as a topic on a recurring basis here in our meetings. But it's always one of those things that we're happy to talk about anytime it comes up in your business. All right, moving forward on the agenda. Sorry about sending out the round robin discussion questions so late. Hopefully you've all had a chance to look at it and think about it. If not, we'll see how quick on your feet you are with your responses to this. So today's discussion question is the one thing that keeps me motivated every day to be successful is, and then we'll fill in the blank. Why don't we start with Bernd?
All right, got to stop talking to myself. What is it? You know, knowing that there are people out there I can help and make them aware that they need help. I think I've used similar wording before, but it's for me, it's every day. It is kind of a revelation once you start asking questions and you go a little bit underneath the surface. How many shortfalls they have is just mind-blowing, in my opinion. Now I'm a fairly high C, so I am analytical, so I can get carried away in that respect. But still, just constantly flying by the seat of your pants I'm not sure if that is a recipe for success entirely. You know, it's really situational. Sometimes you have to be pragmatic, and sometimes you have to be analytic. So. I can certainly, I know in the meantime, I have the confidence that I know going out there and saying, I can help you. It's
Sure.
just a matter of, it's just a matter of them realizing that.
Yep.
You know, and obviously it requires the right approach.
Excuse me, definitely. Steve, what about you? What's the one thing that keeps you motivated every day to be successful?
Yeah. Honestly, breathing, because I figure if I'm still doing it, I still got work to do.
Very good. How about you, Valerie?
The clients are just so darn interesting. I find my work extremely interesting, intellectually stimulating to me. So I really enjoy getting to know about their businesses and learning every day.
Very good. I like that very much. How about you, Rick? Are you there, Rick?
Yeah, I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I think I took this question perhaps in a little bit different vein, or a lot different vein, I guess, because what immediately came to my mind was my motivation every day to be successful is my family, my wife, my daughter who's getting married in June, and my very special needs granddaughter who's 18 months old and has lots of challenges. So that was my answer, and I agree with the other folks, though, that, I love working with the clients, and it is very intellectually stimulating and fun. So, but I took a different approach with that when I first saw it. So,
no, I think you took a perfectly fine approach to it, and thanks for sharing that. How about you, Mike?
Well, Rick, make sure that you don't feel alone. That is the direction I went as well. I absolutely love the challenges. That's absolutely a motivator for me. But the one thing that keeps going, that motivate me daily, is my family. I mean, that's my absolute driver of everything. They're the most important thing to me. So that's my motivation.
Very good. How about you, Steve?
I'm circling around for a second time, giving me another shot.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Steve, your answer was really bad. Try again.
We just need to sorry. I meant to say Scott. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, thanks for the feedback, guys.
know. Now I'm gun shy to go. So no, I think continue the trend. So it's definitely family for me. For me to keep me motivated every day is, I have my own kind of KPI board, and I have my why. It's posted up there that helps keep me kind of focused and driven. I've recently kind of gone through both a 90-day kind of goal session with, as you know, Ben, with you, and then also kind of revisited the Start With Why book and to really help kind of clarify and verbalize, and then eventually kind of get it out in front of me. That's kind of what I'm looking at every day. So that's kind of mine.
Very good. Thanks very much, Scott.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So what is your why, Scott?
So for me, my overall why is so that I can have a business with Tab that allows me to have the flexibility needed to accomplish some of the goals my wife and I have over the next 3 years that I really couldn't be able to do in a traditional kind of corporate world, both financially and from a flexibility standpoint. So my why is really for me to be able to accomplish these goals. I have them broken down even to like a 90-day goal, for example, but part of that is me being able to support my wife on a new venture, new opportunity, I should say, that she has. And the only way that's going to be able to happen is if I'm able to meet my goals within Tab. So it's kind of an overview, but I have it kind of zeroed in and refined kind of by quarter and annually to achieve those.
Very good. I think I see that Mike Brown is also on the line. Mike, do you have?
Yes, I am. I have a mission statement that I've been working on, and it is actually to point others to Christ and leave them better than I found them through listening, encouragement, and coaching. And so there's a kind of a mission aspect to it, but also a business aspect. So that's my mission.
Awesome. Thank you very much. How about you, Deb?
Hi, sorry. What motivates me really is my family, and in trying to achieve the goals so that my family is happy and is able to achieve their goals. I love the work, though, so I like to believe that in all of my interactions that I can make a difference.
Very, very good. And last but not least, I think that I see Jim Hadley also on the line. Are you there, Jim?
Yes, I did. Yep. So for me, it's actually it's family related as well, but it's a little bit different bend. When I started my Tab business, I did so by investing a fair amount of my retirement into the business. And so I'm really what motivates me is recouping that investment so that I can have a nice retirement with my family.
Very good. I think that's everybody. Is there anybody that I've missed or have not allowed to go twice? All right. So just really briefly, one of the reasons that I'm doing these discussion questions, I might have shared this before, is I want us to recognize that first and foremost, we are not in this alone. Obviously, we've got a community of TBOs that we can turn to and that are going through and experiencing the challenges that we're facing in our business every day. But at its core, so many of us are doing this for the same or similar reasons, and we're looking for the same or similar rewards, and we're motivated by the same and similar motivators. And so it's almost that Me Too kind of philosophy where we realize, Me Too in a positive way, where we realize that we're not in this alone. And so what I hope happens over time, especially for those that are in this program, as we get to know each other and as we spend time discussing these and other really important issues that we're facing in our business, that we recognize that we have others to turn to in time of need, that we can ask for help, that can hear what challenges we're facing and empathize well, and can provide us with some good insight and support along the way. So we should be, I believe, building a community more successfully in our TBO world, so that you all can reach out and support each other as often and as much as necessary. Nobody knows what you're going through better than those that are going through the same thing that you are. And so asking for help, turning to somebody in the time of need just to bounce an idea, or just having others in your circle that you can turn to is so valuable. So we're going to continue with the round robin discussion questions, just to begin to offer that opportunity to connect and understand that we are not in this alone, and that there are others doing it for the same reasons or similar reasons, and that there are others facing the same challenges and struggles that we're facing every day. So thank you for your transparency, for your willingness to share. And I'll try to get those discussion questions out a little earlier than I did this week. I apologize for that. We are down to the end of the agenda, so now we can open it up for anything that you'd like to talk about, whether it's something that we've touched on today or another topic that you would like to bring to the group. I will close my mouth and allow you all to start with an open discussion.
I had a real quick one regarding the blueprint, business blueprint. I find it to be a very interesting, very compelling tool. And I've actually wanted to get one of my prospects on it, but the way it's set up, only members are able to jump on it. And I hate to say it in this very crass way, but if have them take a couple of hits on it and then say, oh, by the way, you have to be a member to continue, it seems like that would be something that, if it is of interest, if they're high C's or S's, like that type of stuff, then it is going to be helping. It's going to help compel the conversation. But at this point, unless they're a member.
Mike, you there?
Yep.
Yeah. This is Rick. Unless I'm mistaken, you still have the ability to enter prospects, manage prospects, and assign the business assessment stuff anyway to them.
You can only do the prioritization and then the individual, the individual, but you do the blueprint itself, the dashboard and that type of stuff. Remember?
Oh, okay. My bad. I understand. Yes.
So, are you?
I'm sorry. Have you, Mike? Have you demonstrated the blueprint to them somehow?
Well, what I do is tell you what I did do, because what I did do is not right. But I had a member that quit, and they hadn't off, so I just changed the name and let a person jump on that person's backbone. This is being recorded, isn't it? Oh well, there you go.
You are so busted.
I am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's what I did to get around.
Right. Actually, interestingly enough, just this morning I had a conversation with Joe Schumacher about this. I'm using my own blueprint to demonstrate it at the moment, which in turn prevents me to use the blueprint for myself. I certainly don't want any prospects or members to see what I put into my own blueprint. So Joe was telling me that there is a demo account is in design. So pretty soon we're going to be able, TAMP is going to fill it with content, essentially, the blueprint, but there's going to be a demo account. Personally, I think what I want to have is a member which I can use as an as a dummy, if you like, Sam Sample or whatever his name will be. put him in there as a member, so I can play around and I can demonstrate it. I've done that now several times via screen share. So my members are actually in their offices. Just yesterday morning we had our between the board meetings report out for about 45 minutes. I get them together about 2 weeks before the board meeting. I just want the momentum going on, and 4 weeks. Yeah, there is coaching in between, but still, I essentially only have 1 week now where I don't have a touch point with my members. And I get them online. And yesterday morning, I actually, and this is, you're going to laugh about this, but I want them to get to the point where they're using the blueprint to start working with the blueprint. So I want them to put a CSF in there, which is headline strategic planning. And then a goal is finalize the blueprint. And then, you know, in the different strategies, you list the different blueprint elements. And then they get the constant reminders. Obviously, they have the blueprint account. They get the constant email reminders about these things, and so on and so forth. So 2 birds with 1 stone. Number 1, they have they learn the blueprint, and number 2, the blueprint drives the process or the progress in the blueprint. Does that make any sense? What I'm saying?
That was the most C thing I've ever heard, and I'm a high C, and I love it.
Well, you're breaking up, but I thought you just said you like what you heard. Okay, fair enough. So I am determined. I can tell you that I want to get my guys onto the blueprint, and I do whatever it takes to get them there. And I talked about member shaming before, and I might get a little bit more ruthless on this one as well. I have a little table which demonstrates to everybody where they are in the blueprint, percentage-wise in the different models. Again, this is the engineer talking in me. But sending this thing out and one member seeing, you know, I'm only 25% down the road, everybody else is 45% down the road. Oh, I better hurry up. I can do that because 4 of these 6 members I have in that board started somewhat at the same time. Those who joined later, obviously, naturally, they're a little bit behind, but nonetheless, they see that the others committed, so hopefully they'll be committed as well.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up, Mike, and thanks, Bern, for the feedback. We are really close to the top of the hour, so I would say maybe anything that's maybe a minute or less that you would like to share or discuss, go. All right, very good. We will go ahead and wrap up today's group coaching call. Thank you very much for the level of participation. I think that has made this a great call today. I appreciate all the commentary, all the issues and topics that were brought up, the successes that were shared, and the motivators that we all shared with each other as well. So thanks so much for your participation. Quick reminder that there is an owner-to-owner sprint call this afternoon that begins at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. If you're able to attend that, you are welcome. I have noticed that we've had some lighter participation on the owner-to-owner call sprints. I know some of that's for good reason, but as much as possible, please commit to attending at least one of those per week, and we'll keep it going. And if you need anything else in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Hey, Ben?
Yeah.
Real quick, will you bring back your most favorite joke for next Wednesday night for the next Thursday call?
Yes, I will try to remember to do that. It might
That'd be great.
It might not be PG, so I might have to clean it up.
Well, maybe share the not PG ones on the Tuesday call.
That's right.
We can take it.
Okay.
Right.
I'll sign a waiver.
That's right. All right, very good.
All right, thanks, guys.
Everybody have a great end of your week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you stay on?
Thanks.